Hey, what did you talk about this week?
Welcome back to the Corporate Kitchen. I'm your host, Tiger. This week, we've been talking about personal health. I don't know how many more times I can say this, but make sure you take care of yourself. That's the overarching theme of this week is really making sure that you take care of yourself. We talked on Tuesday in the kitchen about how benefits are meant to be used, making sure you find a life balance, and making sure you know it's for you. Today, we're going to be going over some examples of that, some real world examples. And I want to start with myself. At the first company that I joined coming out of college for undergrad, as background for undergrad, I paid for it with loans, grants, and scholarships. One of the classes I took in my undergraduate curriculum, the professor said, if you have truly taken this degree and did something with it by whether or not you pay for graduate school. I got an engineering degree. This was like 101 engineering class. And the professor said, if you have to pay for your master's, you did not learn anything from here. And if you don't pay for it, I know you learned something. Didn't really mean anything to me at that time. It was my freshman year of college, kind of went over my head until fast forward, I got into the workforce. The company that I was at had a tuition assistance program where they will support the bill for school. The specific company I was at supported all types of degrees. It wasn't specific. I heard some companies get really specific where it can only be certain degrees related to the field that you're in within that company. And then I've heard of other companies that will support any studies that you do, up to and including certifications as well. I got my undergraduate degree in engineering, but my master's, I did not do in engineering. I actually did it in finance. And the company I was at supported and helped pay for that entirely. That was one of the coolest experiences I ever had because as I listened to stories of my parents and other people's parents of how they had to put in so much capital to support their education and the pathway that they took and how long it took. Meanwhile, I was a couple years removed from undergraduate graduation, gonna pursue my master's and have it paid for by the company. That is an awesome benefit, right? So the first action I want you to take away from today at the table is know what your benefits are. You have to educate yourself and know what your benefits are. I know when we were in the kitchen, we said benefits are meant to be used. You can only use them if you know what they are. We tend to think in terms of health insurance and that sort of stuff, but there's a lot of other benefits that I didn't mention in the kitchen that are totally applicable. Another big one is your HSA contribution, right? The health savings account contribution. There are some companies that will do a contribution into that account for you, and you don't have to do anything. There are programs that will do a contribution based off of you taking certain action items. You know what I'm talking about, right? Go get your blood work done and get your body mass index checked out just so it can say, "Oh, you're obese, Tiger." It's like, yeah, I know. Got to lose some weight. That's fine. But you want to check me out and give me my vitals for free money into my health savings account? Absolutely, right? Another big one is the 401k contribution. I am not the age of having a pension. I really wish I was. I do know there's some companies out there that still do pension, that once you're vested, they will give you a pension. I think that is cool. If you aren't aware of what those companies are and you're currently not established in any field because you're still open to it, look into those companies. Look into those companies that still offer pensions once you're vested. Pensions are far better than 401ks. And it's funny to see these publicly traded companies that have the pension benefit obligation on their liabilities and how big that number balloons every single year as they try to manage it. Pensions were great for the boomer generation and really solidified their retirement plan. I'm in the generation that we're not so lucky. We have 401ks. When you reach executive levels, the contributions given by the company into the 401k are astronomical. And at that point, it's like, oh, okay, retirement planning set. I'm not at that level. You're probably not there either. So we have to stick with whatever the little company matching program is, if they have one. A lot of companies do have a good matching program. They'll match up to a certain percentage for a certain percentage, right? And take advantage of that too. It's never too early to do retirement planning. If you can take advantage of company benefits to support and provide contributions to that retirement plan, do it. Do it. But it requires you to educate yourself. It requires a lot of reading. You got to read through those benefits, read through the red tape. I know, related to the tuition assistance program, they actually foot the bill for you. Meaning, I know like some companies it's tuition reimbursement, where you have to foot the bill, submit your grades after the course is over, and then they'll reimburse you. Company I was at, you could send them the bill and they'll pay for it. That was amazing, right? It's like, oh, okay, I don't even need the capital to get this machine for education started. You'll do it for me. Great stuff. For the 401k matching, I definitely take advantage of that. Highly recommend you do too. And every year I take advantage of the health savings account contribution. Company does it, and you can do the quote unquote health activities to get the extra free contributions every year. That's nice, right? Because we have US government regulations that limit the contributions we can do ourselves into those types of accounts. In regards to health as well, it's very critical that I mention this. And this is going to get us towards action item number 2. If you're at a company, you have health insurance, you have dental insurance. Action item number 2 is you need a primary care physician, PCP, and a dentist. Point blank, period. When there was a time that I got really, really sick, despite having the flu shot, I was sick. I was running a fever for a week. I went to urgent care, negative for everything. They just said, let it run its course. So a couple days later, fever finally broke, but then I started coughing up blood. And it's like, okay, obviously I'm not getting better. Went back to urgent care, and they told me I had pneumonia and put me on some antibiotics. I was out for another week. And during that second week is when I called my primary care physician. I'm just like, all right, doc, I need to see you, need to talk to you. And I really got to understand a lot more what was going on and how my body was doing. That I set up the follow-up once I felt that I was 100% with my doc, just to see if all was better. The reason that I didn't go to my doctor immediately, is because I thought it was just like a common cold, right? I wasn't so sure. And this is one of those situations where it's like you stay off of WebMD, because if you look at that site, it's going to be like the worst of the worst, right? you're going to have to cut your leg off. Like, no, I knew it wasn't that bad. But there were certain symptoms I had that was explained to me by my doctor that wasn't explained to me by urgent care. And it's not to say that urgent care did a bad job. No, they did a great job. I mean, they identified what I had, but my doctor was a little bit more teacher about my situation and able to tell me, you see this is a symptom, this is why you have that, et cetera, et cetera. So the point is, and I mean this in the most non-sexual way possible, right, is it is very, very advantageous to have a medical professional who you trust and knows your body as well as you do, right? It's not going to be always 100%, but those are the two key things. Someone who you trust and someone that knows your body. If you don't understand this concept, go ask any woman about their OBGYN, the woman doctor. Women tend not to change their woman doctor much at all once they find the one they're comfortable with, because they trust that person and that person's dealing with like the most sensitive part of their body. We all have to do the same thing with our primary care physicians, or we really should. You should trust that person, and that person should know your body. It doesn't matter what your preferences are. It doesn't matter. You know, I can hear the argument where it's like, oh, all medical professions are the same. I'm just hearing the argument out, right? I think it's synonymous to like dating. There are 8 billion people in the world. There are plenty of people that you could see yourself with or that you can date and maybe start a relationship with. But you don't give your trust to all 8 billion people in the world. You give your trust to the person who you date for a little while and decide, all right, we may want to continue this further into a relationship, right? That's who you put your trust in. Same sort of thing can be said for your doctor. There are tons of doctors out there. The first one you meet isn't necessarily the one that you have to go with. Even if you're someone like, oh, I only do my annual physical and that's it. Never see my doctor. Understood, but you should still have one. You should still have someone that every year when you get your physical, they're not asking you 1,000 questions about trying to get to know you because you're a stranger to them. And they're just reading your medical chart like, okay, this is what the chart says. And all right, let's figure out who this kid is. You kind of want someone that's just like, welcome back. Last time you were here, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we should check this. Or no, you have a clean bill of health. If you're good, we'll just do your same annual checkup and you're good to go. That you trust to give you that information. It makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. The reason for that is when things don't go well, you don't want to need to find someone. You want to have that person. So when things are doing well, go ahead and find the person. Find that person for you that you trust and you can build that rapport with. So that when things aren't so well, you can call that person, schedule your appointment, get there. And if that person doesn't have the specialty in what you need and they have to refer you to a specialist, you now have entered in to an agreement level where whoever they refer, you're going to trust. I trust you as my doctor, therefore my doctor's recommendation is who I'm going to tend to go with, right? If you have to do this research on your own, that's going to just build more anxiety and potentially be a little bit tougher to address whatever situation you had. Whereas if you just went to the person you trusted, hey, you're having specific issues in this area. I don't specialize in there. You have to go see doctor at this other place. You're going to be like, okay, doc, I'll do that. Right. And It'll make you feel a little bit more confident about what's going on and who you're dealing with. Dentist, same concept. First of all, get a dentist. I don't know how people have dental insurance and don't have a dentist. Your teeth is part of your body. Your teeth are your hygiene, your oral hygiene is very much part of your body's hygiene. It's full body hygiene. You got to get your teeth clean, teeth checked out. If you need tonsils removed, not tonsils, I'm sorry, your molars, your wisdom teeth removed, they'll do that. Recommendation and stuff like that. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, you got to go get your teeth straightened and go get that orthodontal work. No. That's up to you. Teeth clean so that you have good teeth health. If you have cavities, if you have, sweet tooth and it's caused other issues, getting all that checked out is going to make you feel better. Though one of the worst things you can have for yourself is bad teeth, bad breath, can't eat, can't talk to people. You don't want to be in that situation, right? So definitely highly recommend a dentist too if you have dental insurance. And same concept, right? If you're comfortable with that dentist, their recommendations or the stuff that they tell you, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable about. I know those of you who have pets will appreciate this. When you take your pet, let's say you have a dog, you take your dog to the vet's going to give you a whole laundry list of things that the dog needs. For the super dog lovers out there, you're like, I don't even notice how long that list is because I just pay for it. They're going to get the ultimate care. The rest of you notice that list. You're like, what? This is how much? And I'm doing what now? And you want me to buy what insurance plan for a dog? Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of recommendations given to ensure that your dog is at the top-notch health. Remember the fruit basket. We're not immortal, don't last forever. So when we are approaching our prime and into our prime, we try to extend that for as long as possible. We ensure that we check our vitals and we check our bodies to make sure it is operating at its most optimal level. Same thing happens with an animal. We tend to notice it more because, it's an out-of-body experience. It's same thing with your child when the pediatrician recommends all this stuff. It's an out-of-body experience. It's like, oh, okay, this is what someone else is feeling and the bill for it. Oh, interesting. Okay. The point of all that is when you have that out-of-body experience and you realize and see the recommendations that others get, if you don't trust that person, it could cloud your mind and make you think they're just trying to hustle you and sell you on things that aren't required. You don't want to have that mindset about your own health. You don't want to go to your primary care physician and they recommend tests to be done. And you're like, are you trying to hustle me? Right? That's not good. That's not a good feeling. If you need additional tests outside of your intended visit purpose or beyond your intended visit purpose, you want to hear it from someone you trust and be able to have that conversation and feel comfortable and confident knowing the choice I'm going to make is the right choice and this is why. Without the thoughts of, are they just trying to get one over me or are they just trying to collect money? And that's horrible thoughts to have when you're trying to evaluate, am I at my optimal health? Am I truly thriving? Right? You don't want to be in that position. So find you primary care physician that you trust and a dentist that you trust and who knows your body. They will get to know your body. They'll be able to provide the recommendations. My doctor that I've been with for a while, it's amazing. I don't know what they put in their charts, but every year when I go for my annual checkup, it almost seems like my doctor remembers everything. runs through everything that's going on in the past year, how many times I've seen the doctor, what for. Will be last time I saw the doctor, he was asking about how I'm feeling since the pneumonia. Like, wow, okay, maybe you just read that in a chart, but you walked in, no chart in hand. uh, I, I'm impressed. But when people are more intimate with your history and your medical history, and were the ones that treated you before, there's also that personal touch where you can tell you didn't just read that from a chart. You knew because I was going through it. You knew the pain that I was going through, or you saw firsthand whatever I had. So I know, and you took care of me. Therefore, I know you'll take care of me again. I want you to have that feeling as well. So make sure you find a good primary care physician. One of the last things we're going to talk about here, this one, oh, this one is a good one. There comes a point in life where you reach a threshold. Once you pass that threshold, there's no coming back. What do I mean by that? I tell this to one of my good friends all the time. The last action item is you need to make the change while it's still under your control. This is, you can say this many different types of way, right? It's like you need to get some rest before your body tells you you need to get some rest. You should really leave the company before the company lays you off, because we know layoffs are coming. You should really work on your body's health before your body tells you you're unhealthy. That sort of stuff. That's the threshold that I'm talking about, where there's a period of time you're in full control and you're in the spectrum of being able to make the decision before the decision's made for you. Once you pass that threshold, you are no longer in the realm of self-control. Another force is going to take over and now tell you, this is it. The sleep is the best example I can give you in terms of relation, where if you tried to stay up as long as possible, there's a period of time where your body will send you an alert where it's like, we're sleepy. Can you wrap this up? Go to bed. And you don't, and you push through. At some point, your body will just turn it off. Where it's like, all right, I told you, lights off, going to sleep. In regards to the corporate world, this happens a couple different ways. I'll give you one story. I was at a company that I was not happy with leadership and the way things were being run. Wasn't happy with the decisions being made. I didn't address that frustration in time and reconcile it. Therefore, when I passed the threshold, I was just mad all the time. This is another TC. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking to you, TC. I was just mad every single day. And I came to work mad. Wasn't happy there. This might resonate with a lot of people out there. They hate their job. Coming into the building and you're just like dejected. The drive in, I was fine. Waking up, I was fine. Getting in the car, I was fine. Soon as I saw that building, energy just sucked out. And you walk in and you're just like, I hate it here. And you just can't bring yourself to positivity anymore. And I was well past that threshold. There was a couple times I really, really tried to bring myself out of the abyss. But an abyss is an endless pit. I couldn't take myself out of that endless pit while being in that company. Therefore, the fix that I had to do was leave the company. And when I submitted my 2 weeks notice, it was like, you know, insert any movie with a dark sky, and then all of a sudden all the dark clouds go away and the sun finally shines and everything's glory. And it's like, I know the grass is not always greener when you switch, but for me at that moment, that was the first time I was able to really put myself back in control and control my own happiness. Because for a long time, I was not in control. I tried a whole bunch of different things and I could not make myself happy again. There was a lot that built onto it that got me to that point, and a lot of red flags that between my brain, my body, there were many red flags that said, this is bad. Get out of this situation, or you don't want to feel this way. Change the status quo. What's the definition of insanity, everybody? Right? If you don't change the status quo, if you don't change what you're doing, switch it up, you're just going to drive yourself into insanity. Once you hit insanity, you're no longer in control. I have a friend that's going through this same similar path of being so frustrated with work that now you can't even unfrustrate yourself. And at that point, the little things just like set you off. You listen. It's cool to see for me, because it's not cool for my friend, obviously, but it's cool for me to see because it's an out of body experience for me of like how I was during that similar situation, of the smallest things where you're like, it's not that serious. Will set the person off because they're just beyond the threshold. They're so upset that their body and mind can't even comprehend positivity from the situation. If you're one of those people, hate your job, can never be positive at work, you need to address that. Because again, once you lose control, your body will tell you shut it off. And you don't want to be that way. For those of you that are listening that says it's just work, not that serious, I can do it, I applause. Have to give you applause for that, because you addressed the issue before it was unaddressable, before you passed that threshold. You were able to conquer your emotional intelligence and your mindset towards your frustration and conquer what it is before it became a problem. That is a very good spot to be in. A lot of us don't have as strong emotional intelligence or emotional control, especially early in the career. That's something that you kind of learn as you get older, as you get wiser. You can strengthen, but early, no one tells you that. And a lot of people are not prepared for corporate when they come in. The stuff that we learn in our undergraduate studies are all school textbook based. Once you get out into the real world, you learn. You truly learn. If it's one thing boomers got right, there is much more value and experience than the books, the education, in terms of the evaluation of a potential employee. The education is nice, but putting it into practice and having experience on it, going through the trial and tribulations, really, really, really critical. One of my favorite movies is Limitless. Bradley Cooper, right? Robert De Niro. There's a scene in that movie where Bradley's talking about leaving the company, and he's having a conversation, his character in the movie, having a conversation with Robert De Niro's character. And if you haven't seen it, just look it up on YouTube. It's a very good clip. I'll post it on Instagram, or a link to Instagram so you can see. Really, really good clip about Bradley Cooper's character, super smart, feels like he's achieved everything, ready to move on so he can let his career prosper. And Robert De Niro's character comes back and like, You know, you haven't put in the work that I've done. You haven't had the marriage, raised the child. You haven't gone through the fundraisers. You haven't gone through the charming that needs to be done, the politics to be able to compete. Don't make me your competition because you haven't competed yet. That whole scene is great to help the education of why people value experience well over smartness. We still need to adapt, and I will say this, we still need to adapt because we can't make education a requirement for entry-level jobs, but then devalue it. It's kind of contradictory, but it is a good scene to kind of highlight and show how people really value the experiences because there are a lot of things that are expected of someone with tenure to have gone through to get to where they are. If you get to this level, we know that you've been through these certain roads. You didn't get here. You didn't get from East Coast to West Coast without passing the Midwest, sort of thing. You didn't get from you didn't get from the refrigerator to scrambled eggs without whisking the egg at some point. It's having the understanding that there were intermediary steps taken to get to the destination that you're at now generationally. I know that with this level of experience, you've gone through this. Now it's kind of inconsistent. It's not as regular because there are a lot of different roads that can lead you to the same destination. However, the expectation still is, regardless of whichever alternative path you took, there's some roads that are still standard that have to be taken to get here. And those are the type of experiences that aren't talked about, that you can't learn from a textbook, and you just learn as you get in the field, learn as you get in the industry. So don't forget, make the change while it's still under your power. And in regards to change in general, a famous quote that a lot of people know from Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. If you're going to be that change, you got to consciously do it. You got to consciously be it. You have to be in control to make that change that you want to see in the world. If something else takes over, are you sure that's the change you want to see? So, for the last time, take care of yourself. Ask yourself, how am I doing? Ask those closest to you, how are they doing? Check in with your mind and your body. When you ask, how are you doing? What did you say? If you said, I'm good, you're expelled. You didn't learn anything. You haven't been listening. Maybe you're listening to this on the way to work and you got a work call, but you're expelled. You didn't learn anything. If you said anything else, I'm great. I'm thriving. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate you. It's been a long month, the first month of this podcast, and I just realized I almost wrapped up without doing the last story. So take this as your last story alert. This one's going to be quick, I promise. One of the things I did for my own personal health was get into the gym. We all say that, right? That is such a common New Year's resolution to say, I'm going to get into the gym more. 2 separate times I did it. One was actually when I was working at a manufacturing plant. The workforce on the floor that built the product took a lunch break every day, and I supported that group of people. We decided that we were going to do, if you're familiar with the P90X T25 discs, we decided we were going to do those workouts during their lunch break. We went to there's a little gym in that facility, and during their lunch break, we all did that disc, and those are regimented very well to have a workout program. That improved all of our personal health very, very well. Some people gained muscle, some people leaned out, but we definitely felt better after doing that. I also had a colleague who's also my friend that I found as a workout buddy as well. We would go to the gym every day after work. It's funny because some days it's like, are we going to the gym? Should I text to find out if we're going to the gym? And we both end up in the gym anyway. Held each other accountable, right? Making sure that we were both in there. If I wasn't in there, that person was definitely going to be in there. Took working out very seriously. And it motivated me to take care of my personal health, get in the gym. Having someone there that is more physically fit than me helped motivate me to say, all right, if this person knows what they're doing to get fit, they're definitely going to be able to help me out to get fit. You got to I'm not going to say take advantage, but you have to look at those opportunities to really get the assistance to help with your personal health outside of medical professionals. If you have a buddy that will run with you, I remember I did run 5Ks for a while, and I had a running buddy that would run the 5Ks with me. If you have one of those, that's great. If you have someone that will, dog walk for long periods of time, someone that would hike with you, someone that will do some type of outdoor physical activity with you, take the assistance. That way you double up on personal health building. If they build their personal health and you build yours, that sounds like a win-win scenario to me. Seeing how I said this is the last episode for the podcast in the month of February 2025, I do want to leave you with one secret. You ready? The secret is...
Oh, I just remembered. I should tell you about...
Hey, you said last story. Can you wrap this up?
Oof. Okay. I enjoyed working on this menu item with you this week, but let's come to an end while it's still hot. Remember, the ending to one story is the beginning of another. There will be more in store next week at the Corporate Kitchen. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Tiger. Until next time.